Here are my issues with the Wano arc, more so focusing on the Battle of Onigashima. Don't get me wrong, I really did enjoy a lot of Wano. Reading week to week when Gear 5 was revealed was one of the best One Piece experiences or manga experiences I ever had. And the hype was just on another level. But I just had a lot of issues with the arc that now that it's over and now how Egghead is going, they are very, very prominent, and I just want to get my thoughts out. So mainly my biggest problem with the whole raid was just the cast of characters. There was just so many characters. It was actually insane. It felt so messy at points, and that we were just constantly cutting from side to side, looking at different parts. It just kept dialing up with just how many more people were being introduced, and at points it just killed any form of smoothness, or just there's just so many people. Like, it always felt like something was missing to me, and I could never put my finger on it in a sense. And there's just a bunch of characters, but with no depth into their interactions or their backstories. Like, so many of Kaido's crew introduced, they're just a wall to overcome. They have no backstory whatsoever, no depth whatsoever. Like, just look at the cast of characters. This is literally a mouthful. So we had 10 Straw Hats, 9 Scabbards, Kaido, King, Queen, Jack, the Toby Roppo, and all the gifters. A lot of them were named. A lot of them had a lot of focus. Tama, Law, Beppo, the rest of Law's crew, Killer and Kid and their crew, Carrot and the rest of the Minks, Apu, Basil Hawkins, Drake, Yamato, Momonosuke, Orochi, Hiyori, Marco, Perospero, Hyogoro, then some of the Daimo of Wano. And I honestly don't even think that's everyone. Like, I think there's more people that even had some focus. And it's just this extensive cast of characters that takes away from the focus of our main cast, which has just been an issue since the time skip, in my opinion. And I do understand we've been with Momonosuke and Keen since Punk Hazard, but there are many characters I don't think we needed. Like, I don't think we needed 9 Scabbards necessarily. I think there could have just been 4 or 5. And it just felt like Kaido's crew, there were so many of them, and they were just strong people with ancient zones to fight against the Straw Hats or give people a fight. And it just, they didn't really have a lot of interesting aspects except who was linked with the Nika fruit and how it was always like evading him. But even with Kaido, everyone was expecting to get a bigger backstory out of him, but we never really did. It just felt like there's too much going on, and Oda was so deep into the arc, he was just like, yeah, I just got to end it. Like, when you compare Dofi to Kaido, he might be a rare case because Dofi's just a beloved villain, and he was such a well-written villain, and there's so much good stuff about him. There's so much you see with Dofi and understand about Dofi that we just don't get the same with Kaido. Like, we really never get to see the changes he goes through as a pirate. His past barely gets focused on. Even with King or Queen, like, I wish we got a bit more to their stories. Like, they had really good fights, and like Queen was a great matchup for Sanji because of his whole scientific thing and being linked with Judge. But I think we could have seen more of that, some more of the stuff in the past with Judge and Queen, or even King and the Lunarians, more of that. Like, you compare Senor Pink to Queen or any of the Toby Roppo, and Senor Pink had one of the best backstories. Like, half the Toby Roppo, barely anything was delved into them at all. I think Robin probably had the most interesting fight out of all of them. She had a really good part. But, like, I'm not going to shit on this arc. I really enjoyed this arc. I think the highs of this arc are great, especially with Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy and the Kid and Law fights. Like, those were all great. And I really like what the Queen fight did for Sanji. And I think Zoro had a really good fight as well. Him starting to learn Advanced Conquerors Hockey. And same with Luffy. And Gear 5th is one of my favorite moments in the series ever. And I just felt like it was the middle stuff. The middle stuff, like, it was just fluff to get to the end. I feel like we could have had a bit more there. Or even, I guess what I'm saying is a bit less. Cut out a lot of the fluff. Like, the Ice Oni thing was the worst thing ever. That pissed me off for, like, however many chapters we were focused on that. And I do understand this was a war and that there had to be a lot of characters. But look at Marineford. This is where Oda did it right. It was a war with a lot of characters. But the Straw Hats were not in this arc. So it didn't matter that the focus was being taken away from, because they weren't the point of the arc. The point of the arc was Luffy and his brother and getting his brother back. And then Whitebeard comes in and seeing everything with Whitebeard and all the very strong pirates at the time. This is where Luffy learns the lesson of how far behind they are right now and how the rest of the world is compared to them. We didn't have to worry about the rest of the cream fighting for screen time because they weren't involved in the arc, and that was the point of the arc. With Wano, it was all about the Straw Hats and their alliance with Kid Law and the Scabbers, and it felt like these other parties got significantly more focus than the Straw Hats, besides the Monster Trio, obviously. But, like, quite honestly, like, what did Frankie, Usopp, Chopper, or Brook develop at all in this arc? Like, they just had fights. Nothing really happened for them. Like, in Dressrosa, Usopp had a huge character moment with God Usopp and most likely in unlocking his observation hockey. But during this, it just felt like Straw Hats were given fights to be given fights because they had to. Like, it's not really like Oda put a lot of thought into it. Like, it was just they have to have a fight. It just felt like there were so many plot threads that Oda tried to open up and, like, tried to delve into that just went to nowhere. Because I think he realized he had so much set up, but not enough time to execute all of it. And, like, especially, like, the whole Grim Reaper and Zoro's lineage thing, like, it seemed like it was going somewhere, and it seemed like this was really going to be Zoro's arc, especially with the start of it, but it ended up going nowhere. And, like, when you just compare this right now to how clean and cut Egghead is right now, I think it's just leagues above better right now. Like, it's just so clean and, like, tension constantly going up. Like, Wano, there's no tension at all. Like, I love watching Mr. Morge, and he was like, yeah, even the characters were cutting the tension this arc. But I still really enjoyed Wano, and yeah, thank you.